This is Italian anti-cultist Luigi Carvaglia. He had a lot of nasty things to say about AllatRa in his recent post, trying to present it as pro-Russian organization. So let's take a look who's actually pro-Russian. Carvaglia is a member of FACRIS, French anti-cult organization, and 15 NGOs sent letter to Secretary Blinken to throw this pro-Russian anti-cult organization FACRIS out of the United Nations. Now here is Carvaglia, and here is Russian Alexander Dworkin, the vice president of FACRIS and president of Russian RACIRS, the main anti-cult ideological center in the world. Here they are in Salihard, Russia, in 2017, when Russia is already sanctioned after invasion of Crimea. And yet, Carvaglia, Gando, and Armstrong go in there to visit their buddy Dworkin. Now, Dworkin, so as many anti-cultists, was trained by Johannes Ogard and Fritz William Huck in Dialogue Center, and they are students of Walter Kunet, the infamous, notorious Nazi anti-cultist who participated in organization of Holocaust, genocide of multiple organizations, not just Jews, but multiple centers that he labeled as cultists. You can learn more about the history of modern anti-cultism from the Impact documentary. Watch it online on YouTube and Rumble. Here is another bizarre anti-cultist and member of FACRIS, vice president of RACIRS, and buddy of Carvaglia, of Gando and Dworkin, and the person responsible for labeling Ukraine as the Satanist cultist country. And this was part of the campaign to incite hatred in Russian society against Ukraine, to prepare grounds for the invasion. The dehumanization campaign that RACIRS and FACRIS launched against Ukraine and against AllatRa, by the way, that Novopashin was calling the Ukrainian cult that is infiltrating Russia and works for American intelligence. The work of their agents in Ukraine through anti-cult network was essential in sowing division in Ukrainian society, and in Russia they were basically using dehumanization methods that Walter Kunet, this guy, was using in Germany to prepare the prosecutions and working with Gestapo, exactly in the same way as Dworkin is working right now with FSB, which he turned into RSB, the RACIRS Bureau of Prosecution in Russia, and using it against minorities. They labeled as cults everyone from commercial organizations to yoga studios, and the whole network in Europe works in support of these activities. For example, when Russia banned yoga, BBC made an article in which, despite the insanity of this agenda that someone who banned Jehovah's Witnesses is now banning yoga, they describe Alexander Dworkin as influential figure, as Moscow academic, as Professor Dworkin, as a US-educated Professor Dworkin. Quite a strange description considering Dworkin's mental health illness history and pathological hatred towards religious minorities. The real reason for such praising of Dworkin is presence of Alexandra Stein, member of FACRIS, anti-cultist from the UK, who is submitting articles and influencing editorial team of BBC. She is on their pages as their main anti-cult expert. Here she is sipping wine with Carvaglia. And here is Carvaglia himself, hugging with Dworkin. What a nice family picture. And that is why when BBC publishes a smearing article about AllatRa, they mention in Chelyabinsk Diocese of RACIRS, Russian anti-cult department led by Alexander Dworkin, as their trusted source of information. And that's in April 2022, after the invasion, when literally everything Russian is banned in the West as Russian propaganda. Just think about the level of their influence. And Carvaglia is trying to convince us that there is no network. He is sharing posts on his Facebook with the same propaganda from Russian RACIRS website, mentioning an 8-hour film without even mentioning the names. So let me say again, the film is The Impact. It's in 8 parts, so 1 hour for each part, and you can watch it over the weekend. It's much more useful than anything you can find on Netflix.